Okay. Mickey Gitzin, good evening to
Good
you.
evening.
Thank you for being with us. Mickey Gitzin is director of the Israel National, or of the new
Israel
Israel
Fund.
Fund, and founder of the Israel Chofshit movement. It's a grassroots organization that seeks to separate religion from state, right?
Right.
Okay. So my first question to you is, what do you think about all these ideas and proposals and that we are hearing from this new government?
Um, One of the things that I think that we need to take into account, those are not separate reforms or ideas. That we're seeing here a purposeful attack against all um, elements of Israeli democracy, from the judiciary to free press to civil society and any other elements that are extremely important to a strong democracy as Israel should be. And the use of this kind of strategy, which is basically a shock effect that tries to silence those who oppose these reforms, is used because they want us actually to be confused by the reality in which we live, and because also they want to create a situation in which we need to start negotiating or discussing kind of like a new reality with the state of Israel. But people like myself, who's been in the field of civil society and social change for a long time, we see the reality as it is. There is a model in which that actually leads the current government. The model is the Hungarian model or the Polish model.
Is this what you mean when you refer to illiberal democracy?
Exactly. When you talk about a reality in which you don't have an independent judiciary, that the media is actually under control of the government, when you see civil society that cannot express freely their opinion and their opposition to this government, we see exactly the model of Orban of Hungary. And we are seeing a situation in which this country will not be discovered as a democracy anymore, but actually something completely else.
Is it true that the new Israel Fund anticipated or expected these changes or reforms many years ago?
We've been seeing this process actually happening since Netanyahu was appointed or elected prime minister in 2015. That later on led to a brutal attack against civil society, and we saw actually exactly the measurements that we see today coming, because none of these countries that actually lead illiberal democracies can stop at some point and say that's it, we've achieved what we wanted, because there is no space in which freedom of expression exists, or free judiciary, or a reality in which people have the freedom to criticize the government, that can thrive as a democracy if they don't stop all of it together. There is no such a thing as an independent judiciary, but they're going to stop people's ability to express their opinions or opposition to the government. Those all need to be kind of like dismantled at once.
So, are you totally opposed to any kind of reform, for example, the judiciary?
No one can look at any system and oppose any kind of reform. I have criticism of my own on the judiciary in Israel. I think that I oppose a lot of their decisions when it comes to human rights, civil rights of minorities in Israel. I oppose part of their decisions when it comes to security versus human rights, when it comes to the Palestinians in the West Bank. But at the same time, I understand that the moment we start actually negotiating it, the role and the goal is not an agreement, but the role and the goal is actually dismantling completely the power of any force, which is not the government, to criticize or to stop illegal or undemocratic systems. And there are, few interest groups that came together in this reality. The ultra-nationalist settler movement led by people like Ben Gvir and Smotrich that want to keep illegally taking more and more private land, mainly in the West Bank. They cannot afford themselves a free judiciary because they will stop it. With the ultra Orthodox communities, I think all the issues of personal rights and issues to do with their own independent autonomy that they want to keep here. That cannot happen in an equal society. And then you have the Netanyahu supporter and the Netanyahu family in particularly that need to be out of their legal situation. So there is a kind of like interest group, like three interest groups that came together basically to undermine all of these issues that we talked about.
What's your response to those who say that your opposition or your position is politically motivated more than it is out of concern for reforms and or harming the judicial system? Or
Listen, there are again, we're looking at reality as it is. If we looked at reality only from the Israeli lens, you might have been right. But then when you look and you see the connections and the relations of the Israeli populist right with countries and leaderships like the Hungarian one, and we see where the Hungarian process has led them to, there is a real and serious reason to be concerned. That's one. Second thing, we see that not only people on the left are criticizing this kind of like reforms that are being proposed. Every person or every group that actually opposes a situation in which the government has unlimited power opposes these reforms. And the last point that I want to say, if the issue were reforms, they would not put all of them at the same time on the table, connecting the free media issue to the judiciary, to civil society, and all of these aspects. They would have left, time for public discussion, for public debate. But that's not the reality in which we live today in Israel.
And is the New Israel Fund involved in the protests that are taking place right now against
Many,
the?
many of the organizations we support take active role in this protest, mainly on the judiciary issues, but also on the issues to do with media, and definitely when it comes to ensuring free space, free and open space for civil society, which basically is the basic thing that we do. The moment civil society is not able to act in the civil space in Israel, the role of us as a fund, but also of the organizations we support, basically is doomed.
And are you optimistic about your struggle, or do you think it's a lost case and there's
There
nothing
is
we
no
can
such a
do
thing
about
as
it?
no one sits in my position and says that it's a lost cause. I think that the amounts of people that we see going on to the streets, the communities that join this struggle. Just yesterday, we saw an amazing conference of religious Jews who traditionally would support the right wing that said that's enough for us. And I think that more people that would join this struggle, more communities, more groups like the high tech sector that people just talked about now, that would make a change. Israel is not an island, and Israeli economy is not an island. And we live in a society that, as long as we can express our opinions and fight our struggles, we will do it. And I think that that's our role. And I think that there is a good chance for us, as people who believe in this place, who fight for this place, who were born in this place, to win the battle. Because if we lost it, the cause of the state of Israel is lost. It's not about us. It's about this place that we love and cherish and care so much about.
Have you tried to initiate any kind of a dialogue or contacts with the coalition members or with the prime minister himself to express these views, these concerns?
First of all, I don't think that they're gonna immediately run to negotiate with us. But I think that this level of discussion about negotiation or dialogue, it's exactly the strategy that tries to hold us from protesting and going against this reform. We saw this exact strategy happening in 2011 when there was the social justice protest on the street. Immediately, Netanyahu has established a committee in order to stop the protest against this policy. And I know there is one thing that it's very clear. As long as you see and you understand where he's aiming and what he's looking at, and who are the leaders that he thrives to copy, you understand what is the goal. You can be naive, or you can try to kind of like not see reality as it is. We will be able to negotiate and discuss and to have a deeper kind of like this inner dialogue when it's clear that the goal is different, and when the cause is different, and the basic elements of Israeli democracy are safe and kept, and that's not the reality on the ground.
Okay, I think we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Miki Gitzin, director of the New Israel Fund.
Thank you.